My name is Frank Allen, the founder director of the Wudang Physical Culture Association. For the past 35 years, I've taught Chinese internal martial arts, Qigong health exercises, and Taoism. And I've studied these arts for the last 41 years. I'd like to talk a little bit about the octagon shape and Chinese culture. This subject has come to the forefront because the large corporation of the Ultimate Fighting Championship has threatened my friend and colleague Novell, the infamous Black Taoist of Urban Bagua, with litigation to stop using his logo. It is obviously completely Novell's logo. Not only did he draw it himself, but he actually got it legally trademarked years ago. And the UFC's only complaint is that both their logo and his logo use this octagon shape, which is also the shape of their fighting cage. But there could be no confusion in these logos. As you can clearly see, these logos are completely different. The UFC logo is simply their initials, their name, and some caged wire. Novell has the name of his art, Urban Bagua, his title, Black Taoist, a warrior face, and a couple of trigrams. No one could confuse these two. In no way is Novell trying to say that he is a mixed martial arts organization. He is a Bagua organization. And as a Bagua organization, he actually has a better claim to the octagon shape than the UFC, who sort of arbitrarily decided to make their cages that shape and therefore their logo. Novell teaches a variant of Bagua Zhang. Bagua Zhang is developed from the ideology of the I Ching, or the classic book of changes in Chinese culture. This book is sort of the foundation of Chinese culture. Millennia old, it is a revered book of the Taoist, the Buddhist, and the Confucianist, and is older than all three of those philosophies. Although it was the Taoists who created a circle walking meditation and energy program to create the 8 basic energy change patterns by walking in a circle and having 8 methods of changing direction to create these energy change patterns. This exercise, meditation, energy practice eventually was developed into the martial art of Bagua Zhang, which Novell teaches a variant of, and therefore has a better claim to the octagon shape than the Ultimate Fighting Championship themselves do. The I Ching, or classic of change, known colloquially in America often as the I Ching, is at its forefront and best known as a book of divination. But at its base, it is a study of the phenomenon of change using a binary method of charting the patterns of change. In this ideology, you start with Wuji, or nothingness. From nothingness, you go to unformed Taiji, somethingness, one. From that one comes the balance of yin and yang, the balanced Taiji, or two. These two can also be represented by a solid line for yang male, a broken line for yin female. When you take those and put them together, you can come up with 4 variations. 2 broken, 2 solid, 1 broken on top and solid on the bottom, 1 broken on the bottom and solid on top. When you advance this to 3, there are only 8 combinations that you can make. These become the 8 trigrams, the foundation of I Ching study, the glyphs which symbolize the 8 basic patterns of change. Later there is an advancement, so you put 2 of them together to create 6-line patterns known as hexagrams, which are the advanced patterns of change. It's a mathematical progression that could go ad infinitum, but the philosophy is that the 64 hexagram changes are all that will ever be dealt with in a human life. This is the basic idea of the Book of Change, and as such, this idea of 8, and including the 8 pattern, basic shape of the octagon is paramount to all Chinese culture and comes up in Chinese culture over and over again in various methods. You can see it in the book covers of the I Ching, the octagon pattern, over and over again. You can see it in various diagrams of the I Ching and other aspects of Chinese cosmology, the octagon pattern, repeated. There is also the fairly famous octagon trigram mirrors, which are used for good luck and to chase away evil spirits, evil energies, evil people, and as such are hung over the doorways of Chinese homes and establishments around the planet. Why, the Chinese even use the octagon symbol in such things as tables, boxes, pendants. The octagon symbol is completely paramount, standard design for all Chinese culture. You can even find octagon coasters representing both the I Ching trigram patterns and the 9 palace system dot patterns at the same time, but used simply as coasters. And in Chinese astrology, this year being the year of the horse, you might also find an octagon pattern representing the year, this year. Repeatedly, the octagon appears in Chinese culture. It also appears in other cultures. But what is the Ultimate Fighting Championship going to do? Sue, have litigation against all of these artists, manufacturers, anyone who uses the octagon shape? Why, what's next? Are they going to tell us that we have to change our stop signs around the country because they also have an octagon shape? This litigation at its base is quite ridiculous. It's another method of big corporations trying to shut down, penalize, give problems to small business. And I think that all martial artists, martial arts schools, anyone who is for big business not being able to throw their power around to the small businesses in the United States, and for the American dream of being able to start a small business and do it freely to be able to continue, to show your support for Novell Bell, the Black Taoist, and his Urban Bagua organization, and the right to keep his logo, which is clearly his, drawn by him, trademarked by him, used by him for years. If you happen to have a few extra dollars in this rough economy, Novell could use all the help with legal fees that he could get. But even if you don't, which is completely understandable in these days, reach out, let Novell know that you support his fight against big corporations, and you support American small business. Novell, the Black Taoist Bell, and his Urban Bagua can be found on the internet in general, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So let him know that you support him, and you support his fight against corporate America. Thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to this video.